Hi, my name's Ingrid.
And I'm Nathan.
We're really pleased to be part of this set of talks for the World Meeting of Families. And tonight we're going to share some of our thoughts and reflections on the catechesis topic, Nazareth, rendering love normal. So to summarise this catechesis, it reminds us that each family has a vocation, a mission, a call, and that is to render love normal. And we do this by making room for Jesus in the normal, by seeing Jesus in the faces of ordinary people all around us, and by hearing Jesus in the voices and the pleas of our family members. When Nathan and I first got married, we signed up to be part of a local ministry for married couples called the Ministry for the Newly Married. One of the things we learnt from that course was how our family of origin establishes what is normal for us, and how as parents we have the power to make our way of life normative for our children. We hope that love would be normal in all families, but sadly we probably all know people who have been brought up in families where violence, abuse, manipulation or abandonment were more the norm. So after getting married and taking part in the Ministry to the Newly Married program, Nathan and I had an opportunity to reflect on our families of origin and what was normal for us growing up. And I think we'd both say that our families were far from perfect, but we both had memories of the particular ways that our families showed love.
I think I've been most conscious of the way that my family showed love and made that normal in our family life has been in retrospect. You know, I probably wasn't really aware of it at the time. I'm a big fan of St. Joseph. I've got a great devotion to St. Joseph, and I'm sure you've heard it said many times before that the thing about the way Joseph is characterized in the Gospels is that he doesn't say anything. The way that he engages with the Holy Family is through actions rather than through words, and I think that's the approach that my mum and dad took to making love normal in our family. So it was in the little things. It was in as a family eating together. It was in the holidays that we took as a family, and we would never go on to big extravagant holidays. It was just about spending that time together. I think mum and dad made a conscious choice not to have big fights in front of us. One of the only times I can remember my dad speeding in the car was when we were running late for church one weekend. And I remember at the time thinking that, oh gosh, this is dad just trying to be perfect and be a holy Joe. But in retrospect, I can see that really what it was for him was that's what we did as a family on the weekend. That was part of our rhythm, our tradition, our family life. And the stability that mum and dad brought to our family, I think, was a real example of making love normal in our family life.
And I would say that my family made tenderness and affection normal growing up. My parents were always very demonstrative in their loving affection for one another. And I remember fondly scenes of them cuddling and kissing in the kitchen, for example, which, you know, I didn't realise at the time was not necessarily normal in other families.
Another one of the nice things about retrospect is we can take those things from our families of origin that we liked and try to incorporate them into our life. So Ingrid and I have made lots of little decisions about the things that we wanted to do to exemplify love in our family. So we try to say grace before every meal, and we try to sing that grace, even when nobody around the table wants to sing it, which can be quite often when everybody's come home from work and school and daycare. Like many parents, we read books to our kids before they go to bed, so that, you know, mum and dad are with them right to the last moment when they go to sleep. We really value one-on-one time with our children. So I like to take the kids camping, and Ingrid really likes to have time with kids doing craft. We have a motto in this family that if you want cuddles, you get cuddles, no matter how angry you are, no matter how busy you are, just to show that there's always time for that love and affection. So the thing about making these choices is that it shows, again, like Ingrid said, that the loving vocation of the family is a vocation. It's a choice that we have to make. And one of the choices that Ingrid and I consciously made when we got married and, were called to have children was that we wouldn't be a couple who has children, and we wouldn't have children who had, mum and dad as servants. We were going to be a new creation, a new family, and our lives would change for each other in that way. And the church has long taught that the greatest model of the family is the Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And I really like that teaching, particularly because the Holy Family are not a model family. If you think of what you think about as a model family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were not that. They had huge challenges in the way that they came together and were a family. I mean, they had some big challenges to navigate as a family, and that I find that really helpful. We've talked about the little things that we try to do in our family to make love normal, and we don't do that well all the time. Family life as a vocation is a mystery, and there are challenges in that mystery.
So as Nathan spoke then about vocation, the vocation of the family being a great mystery, that mystery is that God's kingdom grows through seeds of love sown in families. And that reminds us of the parables of the mustard seed and the leaven in the bread. And I think it's worth reminding ourselves that this great mystery comes in the form of the very ordinary, hidden, insignificant things of family life. Every day in our homes, we're doing this mysterious work of rendering love normal. And the kingdom is growing through the smallest seeds of love planted by our words of affection, our selfless laundry folding, our hidden offerings of patience with grumpy kids. And when we do these things, we do them also for and with Jesus, who is also the small hidden one of Nazareth, found in the family home.
And so again, Ingrid and I try to make decisions about those insignificant little hidden things that we do in our family every day. It's in the decision that we make not to sit the kids in front of the TV and instead to play Lego or read a book with them. I made a choice after our daughter was born to take an extra day off work so I could spend time with them. A good friend once said, in reflecting on his family, that it's really important to know that as parents we set the mood in the family, and when we get up in the morning, often we don't feel like being cheerful or joyful or loving because it's another day of work. We might not have slept very well, but in that moment we can choose whether to be compassionate and loving and playful with one another. And it's amazing how often when I do get up in the morning and I don't feel like being like that, and I do it and the kids follow suit. So as parents, we really set the mood in the family. I'm going to come back to St. Joseph again, because as I said, I think he's got a lot to teach us. There's a painting in our parish church in St. Anthony's in Waniassa in Canberra. And the painting was commissioned by our parish priest, by a young fellow who's a parishioner in the parish named Daniel de Valentin. And I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to see it, but anyway, that's it there. It's actually huge. This is a small copy of it. But the thing that I like about this is that you've got Joseph with his arms around Jesus, but they're not really touching Jesus. And I think that's a really good example of how our kids won't often notice the protection and the love that we show them. But the other thing that I really like is that he's holding this nail and showing Jesus how to hit the nail with a hammer. And he's holding the nail on top and Jesus' hand is beneath. So if anything goes wrong with that hammer, and any of you who've swung a hammer before know that can happen, it's going to hit Joseph's hand first. And again, Jesus probably wouldn't have appreciated that, but those small, insignificant, hidden things will sometimes hurt, and that's okay. One thing we haven't talked a lot about in this talk so far is the importance of the normative value of love in marriage. And we probably haven't spoken about it because I think it's actually a lot harder than it is with your kids. I think, kids can be playful and cute and surprising, and you expect them to do silly things, and you have to forgive them for that. I think it's a lot harder to be like that with your spouse sometimes. But again, it's in the hidden things that you do that make love normal in a marriage. And I remember when we were doing marriage ministry to the newly married, as Ingrid said, somebody gave the suggestion of just putting the toothpaste on your spouse's toothbrush every night as a little act of love, and I try to do that. And in fact, ministry to the newly married itself is a normative act of love that we've brought into our marriage. My mum and dad ran ministry to the newly married in our archdiocese for a long time, and we've brought that into our marriage as a way of normalising what is important in marriage.
On the topic of the importance of playing with our kids and making the choice to be with them rather than put them in front of the television, we don't want to suggest that parents can be constantly playing with their children. That's unreasonable, and there's work to be done, and you need to keep the house going and keep the kids alive. And I know in myself that there are those invitations to be with or play with the kids that I fail to take up. And it's uncomfortable to acknowledge all those sacred invitations that we let go by. Our 2-year-old son often comes up and takes me by the hand and gently says, "Come, mummy, come," and invites me to sit on the ground with him to play Lego.
We haven't even told them what our kids' names are.
No, but I didn't think we would.
So that was actually part of the talk. I was just doing that then to make it a natural flow.
Oh, okay. And this invitation from my 2-year-old son often comes right in the middle of trying to get ready in the morning or trying to cook dinner. And I'm reminded in those moments of the gospel story of Mary and Martha, where I keep prioritizing the household tasks and decline the invitation to sit at the feet of Jesus and listen to him. Each station and phase of life has its own unique challenges and joys. And the joy of family life is that we encounter Jesus in the little things. And if we are too busy or distracted, we will miss that joy that is there to be had. The other day, I was changing our son's nappy and I was feeling rushed and annoyed that he'd done a poo just as we were about to leave the house, and now we were going to run late. But I heard a little voice inside me, and I'd say it was the Holy Spirit saying, "Don't miss this moment." And so I decided to see if I could accept the invitation and find the face of Jesus in that moment. And I looked down and I was really struck at how beautiful my son's chubby little feet were, and how precious it was that this child trusted me to change his nappy. And this moment of grace reminds me of a Gerard Manley Hopkins poem called As Kingfishers Catch Fire, which is a poem about how each created being harbours within themselves a grace bestowed by God that reveals itself in our everyday activities. And the last line of this poem goes like this: "For Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs and lovely in eyes not his, to the Father through the features of men's faces." I feel this catechesis topic encourages us in our family vocation that we can and do encounter Christ in the least of our ordinary family moments, because Christ is in our spouse, our parents, our sibling, our child, our children. And we love and serve Christ when we love and serve in our families. So I'd just like to finish with a quote from Pope Francis from Evangelii Gaudium. "This is the joy which we experience daily amid the little things of life, as a response to the loving invitation of God our Father. My child, treat yourself well according to your means. Do not deprive yourself of the day's enjoyment."
Thanks very much
for listening,
Yep.
and God bless you.